Hey, we're back. This time we're going to be taking a look at the Doomsday Machine Original Series OP event. And first thing we're going to take a look at here is a participation prize. It's another resource. This you get just for showing up and signing up to play in the event. This time we have the structural damage check, and we're going to take a look. Here we have our structural damage check. It's resource 5 points. This card serves as a reminder as well as a reference check for the rules. At the start of the game, place 5 auxiliary power tokens on this card. At the end of each activation phase, after every ship is moved, you may choose to remove 1 auxiliary power token from this card and place it beside one of your ships. If you do, repair 1 damage to that ship's hull or flip 1 critical damage card assigned to that ship face down. Remove this card from the game when there are no more auxiliary power tokens left on it. It's definitely an interesting option, with a lot of the more powerful ones being rotated out of play. Newer ones like this are seeing more use. It's not the best out there, probably not, but it is a useful one, especially in the right situations. It's definitely far from the worst one we've seen, so there's always that. Definitely, like I said, with various options and situations, I can see it being useful to get rid of a warp core breach or a weapon malfunction or the wounded captain. Any of those to get back your abilities to be able to fire that turn and things like that are well worth an auxiliary power token, in my opinion. So definitely can see this getting used, and I'm pretty sure you're going to run up against it sooner or later, as I said, as some of those other ones rotate out. So for the scenario this month, we finally got a actual token to go with the scenario, as opposed to all the previous ones we've had recently where there weren't any at all. I think nothing in the Temporal Cold War had any scenario components at all, which is kind of annoying. We finally get one, and they cheese out and make it so cheap that it's laughable. And instead of being made of the thicker pressed board like all the other, in my old trays here, but the nice thick solid press board that all the other cardboard parts in the game are made out of, they made the token out of the same thin paper that your cards are made out of. It's out of the card stock, and it's just really cheesy. It really would not have cost them that much to print those on cardboard like everything else. Made it a little more durable, made it easier to pick up. As it is, you're going to damage the thing trying to pick it up, especially if you're playing on a play mat, because you got to use your nail on the corner. Someone's undoubtedly going to damage the thing at some point during the event. They keep cutting costs on these things. They're not including ships with the prize packs anymore. They're not including tokens with the scenario packs anymore. When we finally do get a token, it's like this, yet they haven't lowered the cost of the OP kits, which is really annoying, but it is what it is. I'm probably, if I get one, going to take it and mount it on a piece of the cardboard or on one of these old spruces, just to give it a little bit more durability. On top of everything else, not that it really matters as far as the game's concerned, because nothing else is right either, but it's horribly out of scale. The thing should be about 3 to 4 times the size it is, if not more. People have made a ton of really nice custom-made templates and things at home, actual models, so it's nice to keep those in mind. And for size reference, a bunch of people are asking about it. It's just a hair longer than one of your cards, and about the size around the backside's even almost the same as a objective token with that round. So for size-wise, just to give you a sense of scale there. Don't know the exact measurements of it, but you can get a good reference there. For the scenario itself, the Doomsday Machine starts in the center of the table on the side like that. Obviously my table's cut short because of the angle of the camera, but you take 4 of your standard objective tokens from your base set. Again, something that could have came with this. They're supposed to represent debris from destroyed planets. However, if you actually go through, depending on which set you have, they have changed these in the more recent. you have one that's a debris field, you have one that's an asteroid field, you have one that's a wrecked ship, and 3 DS9 stations. That's what comes in your standard, at least the old starter set. And you need 4 debris fields for the mission. So you can't even use the right tokens unless you have multiple sets. So you end up using them with the objective side up, which most people do anyway, but it takes away from the immersion of the game. It's another thing that they could have easily added in the set, especially if they'd printed the token on the cardboard. They could have printed these on cardboard just as easily. You look back at things like the Borg event, they were giving us Borg cube tokens at every OP. They were giving us debris fields, they gave us wrecked ships. And now this is the kind of stuff we're stuck with. Very disappointing. Anyway, you're going to be taking 4 of these tokens. You and your opponent are going to take turns placing these out on the battlefield. They can't be placed within range 1 of the edge of the table, or within range 1 to 3 of each other, or the Doomsday Machine. So it's going to spread them out pretty much across the table. There is no limit on how close to your table edge or your opponent's table edge you can put them, so you can push them right to the edges for that. And they're just debris you have to worry about during the battle. Then you set up for the standard 2-player. You set up on this edge of the table. Your opponent sets up on the far edge of the table. The Doomsday Machine itself has a front and rear of the token. The front has the guide there for the template for maneuvering. It also has the fire arc. The rear is the rounded edge. It has a primary weapon of 8, 0 agility, 10 hull, and no shields. Each turn at the end of the activation phase, after all the other ships have moved, the Doomsday Machine token is going to try to acquire a target lock on the nearest ship within range 1 to 3. Then it moves towards that ship. When it targets a ship, you remove a... you're supposed to use a target lock counter to represent who it's targeting on. I've seen various places use different things depending on whatever, but you just need something to identify which ship it's locked onto. So the opponent of the person whose ship it locked onto is going to choose a maneuver from these 3 templates, range 1. And you're going to put it on there just like you would a normal ship. Put the template up to the marker. Again, another reason to make this elevated or add it to a token or something is that these don't actually sit in the little groove like they should. But you put it in there like this. Then you're going to take another token, put it right up flush like that. And you're going to move this out, and then you're going to move up like that, flush with the new one. Like so. Pretty much similar to the way you move the DS9 or the oversized Borg cube. If the Doomsday Machine executes a maneuver that would cause its final position to overlap the base of a ship, you move it backward along its template as normal. If the overlapped ship has a hull of 7 or less, it's going to suffer 2 damage. So nice tactic is to use it to ram your opponents, and then also it backs up. They're still in front of it. It also gets to fire at them, which is just a really mean combo. Doomsday Machine cannot perform any actions. It can be attacked and destroyed, but has the following special abilities. Any attack that does not strike the front edge of the Doomsday Machine does no damage, so pretty much you have to shoot it in its own fire arc. The Doomsday Machine does not suffer critical damage. Treat all critical damage as normal damage. When the Doomsday Machine is attacked, it will target the attacking ship. At the end of each end phase, the Doomsday Machine repairs 2 damage to its hull. During the combat phase, every round, the Doomsday Machine attacks. Doomsday Machine always attacks last, has a 90-degree forward firing arc. It will attack the ship that it currently has targeted if possible. If the target ship is not within its forward firing arc or within range 1 to 3, it will target and attack the next nearest ship within range 1 to 3 of its firing arc. This attack is considered to always be made with a primary weapon and range bonuses apply. Whenever a player is defending against the Doomsday Machine, the opposing player always rolls the Doomsday Machine's attack dice. And whenever a ship targeted by the Doomsday Machine is destroyed, remove the target lock token from beside it and the corresponding target lock from the ship that was destroyed. The game ends when one player is eliminated or the time's been reached. And at the end of the game, the player that destroys the Doomsday Machine token, inflicts that 10th final hit, which removes it from the table, gains 20 fleet points. The only real concern that's come up with anybody so far on this is that if the Doomsday Machine starts over here, if you manage to put all your tokens on this edge of the table, or it really doesn't matter where the tokens end up, but you're basically clearing out. If the entire battle takes place over here, outside of range 3 of the Doomsday Machine, it will never target anyone, it will never move, and it never becomes a point of the battle. So it basically becomes a head-to-head joust match over here, and it removes the scenario completely. Don't think that was the original intention of the designer. So a lot of places I've seen make it so that regardless if the ship has anything targeted or not, the Doomsday Machine will always move at least a 1 forward. So even then, in a turn or two, you're going to be within range 3 of things on this side of the board regardless, and it's going to engage, and it's going to be part of the scenario. So people can't bypass the scenario. That's not in the official rules for it, but I've seen a lot of places house rule and add that in. It doesn't change anything really, and it makes it so you have to play the scenario at least at some point during your battle. Seen a couple different ways to go about this. Some people charge the token, trying to kill it, trying to get that extra 20 points, which is nice if you can kill that. 20 points is the equivalent of a ship, more or less, at least bare bones, and it puts you at a nice advantage over your opponent. The downside is, shooting at it also means that you're in its fire arc, it's going to return fire, so you can't take it out in the first round. You're going to get hit by it and may lose a ship of your own in the process. As well as every shot you're putting into the Doomsday Machine is a shot not going at your opponents. So you have to take that into consideration too. It's definitely an interesting scenario. Would have liked to see the Doomsday Machine be a lot more powerful, but at the same time, it's weak enough that it's a balanced for an OP event. There's already scenarios out there that people made themselves with a full power Doomsday Machine that takes entire fleets of people to fight. So keep that in mind as well. Also, as somebody else pointed out, in the original show, it was only 2 Constitution classes, I think, versus the thing, and they managed to take it out with their technology from their time period. So compared to the stuff we're using now, which is post-DS9, post-Voyager, you should be able to take it out relatively easily by comparison. So that said, it's a really cool scenario. It's nice to see them trying something new. Just wish they wouldn't go so cheap about it. Hopefully they're going to get some feedback from this from all the players out there and learn from the lesson in the future. Something we'll have to see. It is WizKids, so who knows. Then the overall prize for winning the OP event is another prize, quote, ship, unquote. This time it's a Constitution class USS Constellation. This one really screams cheesy to me that they didn't include a model, because the original TOS Enterprise, despite having a terrible model to start with, is extremely hard to come by. I think the only other Constitution class we've had was the OP prize, the USS Intrepid. So if you don't already have a Constitution class model, getting one for this is going to be extremely difficult right now, and hopefully they're going to re-release it here soon. I've heard rumors that it's coming either the end of the year or beginning of next year, but until then, giving away a prize pack for a ship that not everybody can use because they don't even have the model to is just a jerk move. But we're going to open that up and do a video for it separately, so if you're interested in seeing more about the Constellation, you can check that video out. And that's pretty much it for the Doomsday Machine OP, and we'll see you in the next video.